Hello, friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to talk more about no code, and we have Aditya with us. Is the founder of Era of No Code, and we'll be chatting with him about future of no code and how can a business person as well as an individual use no code to their advantage in their career as well as in business. So, welcome Aditya to the pod.
Hey Anurag, thanks a lot for that kind introduction. And this is definitely a topic which I can talk about for the whole day, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, super excited to see what you have in store, what you want to
Yeah.
uh, relate to your audience. Super excited to be here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Aditya, can you start about sharing a bit about your journey and how you are discovered no code, and then how is your future plans for this year?
This no code story kind of changed everything for me. So when I was in college,
Hmm.
right? When I was in third or fourth year, I'm from the COVID batch. So
Yeah.
when I was in college, I was at home in third year, and I had to find some way to get revenue because I was getting really bored. So that's when the easiest way to get revenue or get started with freelancing was design, because I was in some of the design clubs in my college. So the best way to do it was design. So I started playing around in Upwork, some other freelance platforms, got into design, stayed there for around 2 to 3 years, worked with very good people. Like I worked with Microsoft Ads and some of the great TV shows as well to create content or advertisements. After that, I was like, because I come from a CS background, there was always
Hmm.
this curiosity that I kind of want to build something, right? I
Hmm.
kind of want to build something. Even though I knew how to code, I never enjoyed coding.
Hmm.
So I went to the closest thing that is to the product, which is the design of the product. So
Right. Hmm.
yeah, and then I moved, since I already knew design, I moved to UX design. And I stayed in the UX design field for some time. I attended the 10K designers cohort, learned a lot, made a huge network.
Hmm.
And again, things started becoming a little bit monotonous because design became monotonous, UX design became monotonous, and then I started traveling too much, maybe to put my mind away from all these things, right?
Right.
And suddenly this happened was it was so unexpected. I actually got into an accident, right?
Oh. Okay.
Got into an accident and I was bedridden for 6 months because my ankle was severely injured and I had to
Hmm.
get a surgery. I was bedridden for 6 months. And me
Hmm.
being a lazy person and also being a person who has like a finicky mind, right? I kind
Hmm.
of like to just play around with things. I can't focus on one thing properly. But
Right.
this time I was just sleeping on my bed doing nothing. That's when I
Hmm.
realized maybe it's time to kind of upskill, forget everything. And this injury, right? It kind of totally destroyed things, bro, in a month.
Hmm.
I reached zero revenue, zero clients.
Hmm.
I lost my pet. There was this ankle surgery, a little bit personal issues, and I was already at zero. And the only way was next is up.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
then I kind of I just did a simple Google search. Like,
Hmm.
I want to create something without using code. How can I do it? And I came across 2, 3 apps. And because I was just doing nothing,
Hmm.
I decided let's just rather do this. So I was stuck in this whole ecosystem for 1.5 months, and I could create something crazy. I mean, like these no code tools, this whole ecosystem which I entered, you could literally create apps like Zomato and Uber without using a single line of code. I was
Yeah.
literally
That's
shocked it
really
blew.
powerful. Yeah.
I know, and especially for a person who was finding ways to get into the product side, this was like a boon for me. So I think that injury was kind of necessary. I won't recommend people to get injured to realize this, but that was my journey,
Hmm.
getting into the no code space. And right now, I did work for many clients. I created many products. I did go very deep into the no code space,
Hmm.
and then I realized many people should know about it. Right? There are,
Yeah.
according to statistics, 99% of the people can't code.
The world around us is like mostly built around code. Like after the
Hmm.
physical objects, it's like everything is driven by code, some sort of logic built in.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You won't believe how many people actually want to build, right?
Yeah.
And some person comes to them and they're like, if you want to build, just learn how to code. But after a certain stage, you actually want to not learn. You
Hmm.
want to apply the skills that you already have, or like you don't have that much patience to invest your time into something which you're not certain about. That after 7, 8 months, will I be able to create a product?
Right.
And this came up, and literally in 1 month, you can learn it. You can build your mini app. Maybe after 3 months, you can build a mega app. It became a very crucial moment for people who were always ideating, who were always designing, and now they could also build stuff. It was crazy.
And especially I resonated with the point where you talked about, okay, after certain point, you if you have dabbled into multiple things, you kind of want to go deeper, and that appetite for learning new things from scratch sometimes might go down, but there might be some like desire to create something, so that would really be handy when it comes, like if no code tools are leveraged in that context. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And think about it. Will you ask, there is a person who is marketing, who has spent all
Hmm.
his life marketing, and suddenly he wants to build a product, and somebody goes to him and tell
Hmm.
him that, hey, if you want to build a product, just learn how to code.
Hmm.
He has been marketing for such a long time, and before learning how to code, you do need a small technical background, a little,
Hmm.
not too much, but you
Hmm.
need that technical appetite and that curiosity, right? And for this person, something like no code becomes like a crazy thing, because
Hmm.
now he doesn't have to really go into the depth of stuff, but he can literally create an MVP, put it out there, and he's done.
Consider some a case where somebody is like, okay, I have an idea. What are the things that they can, like what are the tools or what are the steps that they can take to get that thing, like idea out there, or maybe create an MVP to test out their idea? So
So before even getting into that no code sphere of things, right? If
right.
anyone has an idea, I have an idea. What will I
Hmm.
do first? Number
Hmm.
one, I need to get that idea validated. There are
Right.
multiple, which allows you to create a simple landing page in 20 minutes.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
And all you have to do is just go to that landing page builder, just type, this is my idea, these are the features. Would you
Hmm.
like to sign up? Push it
Right.
out in your social media, push it out in multiple groups, see what is the
Hmm.
response coming up. Because
Right.
if there is a good response, if your headline is good, people
Hmm.
will get that response. And after that, if you feel that yes, this is something worth building, then you move ahead
Hmm.
and start creating that stuff. So number one is definitely get your idea validated using one
Hmm.
of these tools. Number
Right.
two, say that somebody wants to create a dating app for pets. Okay, let's
Hmm.
say that he got it validated and he wants to create that now. You go to any tool like Bubble, VWeb. There are multiple tools which are available where you can
Hmm.
just sit for maybe 1 or 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah, start pushing features one by one. Do not ever put all the features on your app. That will destroy
Hmm.
your app right away. That one
Hmm.
thing that your idea has, that one crucial USP, just create that small thing. Just create that small MVP, put it out there. See how many users are coming. It's a
Hmm.
very creative process, and it has become so easy right now because you have tools to get your ideas validated. You have tools to automate your mailing sequences
Hmm.
for the
Hmm.
people who subscribe to your idea. And
Right.
once you have your mail list, your idea, and your product, you are done. And it has become
Right.
super right now.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it that's process has become like, okay, you can get something out, and then even building, you don't have to go like 6 months into the rabbit hole of creating every feature out there for the product. You can just have like the minimum requirement for the like working of that product, and then maybe you can upgrade it. So generally my like next general question would be like, for example, if somebody's building, is it easy for someone to add more functionalities to no code, or how does it compare to like a code, like a traditional coded application? Is it easy to add features and upgrades to the existing platform?
Absolutely. Let's say that I'm creating something for myself,
Hmm.
right? I'm creating a LMS for
Hmm.
my a learning management system for my cohort. I
Hmm.
want complete control of it. I want complete independence of it. If
Hmm.
somebody comes to me and says, "Hey Adi, I need this small feature in this cohort. Can you add that in the LMS?" I will simply go to that no code tool where I created this whole thing. I will create
Hmm.
that feature within 15 minutes and I will launch it. Rather than me asking somebody else to build this LMS for me, and I
Hmm.
go to him, I'm like, I want this feature built.
Hmm.
It take 3 to 4 days. Instead,
Right.
for me, it's taking fewer minutes. And
Right.
biggest catch is when you talk about how easy it is for me to add the feature,
Hmm.
right? Let's think about it. If I am doing stuff using no code
Hmm.
has lesser chances of having bugs in your application because it's already a layer over code, way lesser chances to have any sort of bugs in my application. So I'm targeting two things. I am not having any bugs. I'm launching the feature in 10 minutes. I'm done. That's it. It becomes very easy for a one person business to
Hmm.
launch, add features, reiterate, launch, add features. It becomes a very smooth sale.
When people ask like, okay, how, generally my response is like this, like, think of it, it's like a Lego boxes.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are self sufficient. You can like make it into like a model that works in a specific way, and then you don't have to bother about whether this block fits with the other blocks. It has all the arrangements already. So if, like, for example, if you're dragging some input field, you know that it would work, and it would give that data into the database. So yeah,
Yes,
so that sort of abstraction really helps for the builders. Now generally, like, what, when it comes to like, okay, no code tools or a way to build something, you also run a cohort and teach people how to use these tools.
yep,
So naturally there would be some doubts in like any students or newcomers mind, that what would you categorize something as a no code tool. So how would you define it, and how do you make sure that people get that distinction out?
absolutely. And this is the question I've gotten many times. Even when
Hmm.
I go to the workshop, one person just stood up and he's like, Aditya, I have attended this event. I'm here right now. I just have one question. What the hell is no code?
Right.
And the answer is very tricky. Even I took almost a year to even come up with a description or
Hmm.
how to even describe no code, right? But
Hmm.
there is a small distinction that separates no code tools from other tools which you feel is no code. Let's talk
Hmm.
about it, right? So if I had to categorize no code tools, I
Hmm.
would categorize it into design heavy tools,
Hmm.
the ones which have too much automation, and the one which kind of allows you to do both.
Right.
Design heavy tools could be Webflow and Framer. The moment you talk about no code right now in
Right.
India or in any other place, the first thing that comes to the mind is Webflow, Framer, or WordPress.
Right.
WordPress somewhere, maybe not, but Webflow and Framer, it's there.
Right.
So I call them your design heavy no code tools because it's not only allowing me to design, but I'm putting something out there for the public,
Right.
right? I'm taking some action to put stuff out in the public. Even when it comes to automation, there are tools like Make and Zapier, which allows you to automate. Let's say that somebody clicks a button on your page. It allows you to automate how to send mails to that person. If that person has not replied, you send a
Right.
mail again after 2 days and all those things. So these focus on automation aspect.
Hmm.
So you can call them automation heavy tools, but again, it's allowing you to put an action out there to the
Right.
public. And then you have stuff like Bubble, VWeb, Builder, BuildStack, so many things.
Right.
These are full scale applications. You just drag and drop, you create the application, and you're putting stuff out there. So whenever you're taking an action to actually put your website or your product out to the public, right?
Right.
I kind of call them no code. Now, when
Hmm.
somebody asks that, is Canva no code? Is Figma no code? Are these things no code? I'll say maybe, but for me, no.
Hmm.
You can partially consider them to be no code because they're allowing you to come closer to that final part. But for me,
Right.
these are like reaching a step of your final journey. It's not exactly the action that you're taking to put stuff out there. So for me, it is, if you're putting it out there, you're publishing it. If it allows you to do that, that is no code.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's definitely like something, somebody, when they are deciding whether it's a no code or not, they want to learn it or not, that's a really good criteria to decide. Now if now I know, okay, what is whole this whole space, how do I start getting into no code? Is there any, like, okay, 1 2 3 tools, okay, I should master this, and then that would help me to master other tools? Or are there any fundamental concepts maybe from coding that would translate in better no code application? So what do you recommend in that case?
So when somebody is absolutely starting out with no code tools, right?
Hmm.
There are two, three ways. Number one, you directly catch hold of a high skill no code tool, a very high class no code tool, and you start learning it through the YouTube videos. Number two, you catch hold of one or two mini no code tools, right? Or number three, you just take a course and just get over with it,
Hmm.
right? So in my opinion, the best way to get started with a no-code tool is to play around with one or two small ones. Play around with
Hmm.
Episode, play around with card.co or mmm.page, play around with these. Because the moment you start getting your hands dirty, right? Imagine just having a blank canvas in front of you and you're dragging and dropping a button over there. and on the click of a button, a mail gets sent to you. That is actually crazy, because
Right.
without doing this is like a very small thing for us, because we have been in the no code space for such a long time. But when I started teaching people
Right.
these small things, right, where if you click something, a pop-up appears, if you click something, a mail gets sent, these kind of stuff is crazy,
Right.
very empowering. So best thing to do is start with one or two small tools. Get accustomed to no code, get comfortable with what no code is, and after 1 week or 10 days of playing around with these, then you choose your path,
Right.
and then directly move to a very difficult no code tool as well, like Bubble. It's okay, because once you are accustomed to it, you would want to find a roadmap on how I can
Hmm.
learn a much bigger no code tool which allows me to build apps. And people are here to build apps, right?
Right.
Now the biggest question is, how will I find that roadmap
Hmm.
to learn no code? Now,
Right.
what happens is, some people can go about your DIY structure where they are just finding out YouTube playlists, some blogs by people on how to learn no code. But the issue is they are highly unstructured. Number two, you lose motivation in the middle. And once you lose motivation, then there is nothing. You will watch something for 2 weeks. You won't have any peer support. You will
Hmm.
lose motivation and you're done. You come back to it after month one, you start from zero. Come back to it after month two, start from zero.
Right.
So to actually tackle this problem where things are not structured, that's why what we thought was like, that needs to be some kind of a structure in the form of motivation, rewards. You are getting a peer support, everything with
Hmm.
the structured content. So that's why we created this whole cohort
Hmm.
where people are learning with each other, and they are going about an 8 week journey where I can assure you everyone will end up building.
Right.
So this is a you need to somehow find the structured way. This is not the only structured way.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
even if you talk to someone, right, who is a seasoned no-code developer, you talk to him and you ask them, like, how did you go about learning it? If they remember that whole structure, just follow that and just don't stop practicing.
Hmm.
You need to get your hand. You can't learn with just building one app completely. You need to build multiple mini applications.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, generally, the mindset is like somebody who's not familiar with this space or tools in general. For them, there's this notion where, okay, if you want to make something which is online and it works, it takes a lot of effort. You have to learn coding, some all the basics of all the these computer science concepts.
Yep.
And once somebody like this or who's not aware of the space gets access and gets this realization, okay, this is like, okay, this is how simple it is, and they see it working right away, and that is something that takes you to this that next level where you start chasing, like, okay, what are the resources, how can I get better, how can I make something more complex. So I think the key here is to get some quick wins early,
Yep.
and then once that is there, the hit of that would take you along the journey.
Absolutely. I mean, this was phrased so well. Like giving regular rewards instead of
Mhm.
giving a reward at a long term.
Mhm.
It's the best way to actually teach people. Even in the structures that I've had in multiple webinars, cohorts, and stuff, whenever they do that one task, give them reward.
Mhm.
Another task, give them reward, because that reward mechanism starts playing for itself. So if you have like 2 3 smaller tools that you play around with, you will
Mhm.
already start feeling much more comfortable with no code, and you're already there to take the journey
Mhm.
for a much harder tool which is coming up
Yeah.
next. That is so damn true. Yeah.
Right. And also, like, for example, next, okay, I've learned everything, I'm on a path, I have a decent level of expertise in terms of making something. What are the like ways where, like, some, I would assume that somebody who's starting in this space wants to build something, and apart from that they might be looking to have a side income
Yeah.
or an earning source through it. So in terms of like freelancing, what are which tools should one focus on, and what how much can one expect to make as a freelancer if they are becoming a no code developer, and what are the tools they can focus on?
If somebody is focusing absolutely on design heavy tools like Webflow, Framer, and all those things, the
Hmm.
scope is really great, because there are UX design jobs, there are product design jobs which are heavily there in the market, right?
Hmm.
So if you are focusing on freelancing on the design heavy tools, it becomes quite easier. You can go
Hmm.
to websites like Upwork or Contra. You can start pitching yourself. You can start getting lots of jobs that are being shown. Write the proposals, try to crack the interview, and you will get it. The cost wise, it's really good because you are focusing on the design side of things. So I have seen people getting $1,000 to $2,000 per project, but
Hmm.
I have also seen people who can really brand themselves really well.
Hmm. Hmm.
They easily end up getting like 8 to 10,000,
Oh.
and it's there. These are people who are already there. They are people in my network as well. It's all about how you put yourself out. And there is one thing which is common, no matter you're using design heavy, automation, or full stack heavy. There is one thing that all of these people should do, which is no matter what, start building in public. Unless and until you don't have a social presence, unless and until you do not put yourself out there every single day. Imagine somebody just coming one random month on a February and he's like, hey guys, I'm looking for a webflow design role. If you have any leads, please tell me. I kid you not, that person will not get a single lead.
Right.
Compare
Hmm.
that to a person who has been putting himself, his journey out there from last 4 or 5 months. Every single day, he's like, today I learned this thing in Webflow. Today I taught this person about Webflow. He's just putting himself out there, and suddenly he puts something like, "Hey guys, I'm adding a service where for this much price, I'm just taking 2 clients this month." He's making himself exclusive. The
Right.
moment such kind of a messaging out there with the backing of your social presence, your built-in public presence, you will get clients.
Right.
So, irrespective of any platform, I do believe in platforms, I do believe in word of mouth. But
Hmm.
more than these things, I highly, highly believe in build in public campaigns. Build in public has changed my life. And I'm pretty sure if you play your cards right, within 3 months, you will feel that change in your social media presence and all those things. It is what makes a difference. So, in design heavy tools, build public works
Hmm.
like a charm because you're literally
Hmm.
putting visuals out there.
Right.
They'll
It's also like hooking people in, like once they see something.
Exactly. For design heavy folks, it's a gold mine. The freelance industry is a gold mine.
Hmm.
For automation folks, it's kind of tricky because you don't see what is behind the scene for
Right.
automations. So
Hmm.
you need to always put stuff which is crazy. Educational content in terms of automation for the automation folks, just start pushing educational content front.
Hmm.
And the best way to push stuff out there in build in public campaigns for these people is
Hmm.
take a 10 to 15-second video so that if I click this button, what happens?
Right.
This will act as their journey. For automation, also freelance industry is really, really good. For Zapier and Make, it is crazy. You can I don't know the exact price points of automation industry because I have not
Hmm.
been there completely, but I know people who are having their own agencies just on the side of automation. The only
Okay.
thing that they do is automation. So I know
Yeah.
that the industry is freaking crazy.
Right. Especially after these this wave of AI tools and then the API access to those tools. It's that automation Zapier Make.com has become like a the thing where you can, okay, you just add, like people are making videos and talking on Twitter threads where you have to identify what you can automate in your business and set up that logic in these tools. Yeah. And so you also told, like, okay, if you are a designer or somebody, you can focus more on design type of tools. There are some certain tools like for which focus on databases as well. So and you have been UX designer, product designer as well in the past, and now you are a builder plus designer. So uh, I want to understand, if somebody who is working in an organization and they have on the weekends or in their free time they tinker around with no code tools, how do you see their working style and their work being influenced by all these learnings? And as a UX designer, how do you, like, how is your mindset change once you have built all these things? Did it help in understanding products better? Did it help in understanding the technical side? So what are your insights in that context?
As a designer or as a product person or as anyone in the matter of fact, when you come in the design industry, right? The person has lots of ideas. Whenever you talk about designers, these
Right.
people always have ideas, like crazy number of ideas.
Mm.
And these people know how to design those ideas. And 99% of them just get blocked over here because
Right.
these are the people who really want to build this idea as well,
Mm. Right.
but they're not able to. And what I've seen is even in the cohort and even in the past year, whatever, how many ever people have taught, 60 to 65% of them actually come from the product and design background. These are the
Right.
people who actually want to learn no code. And this kind of starts making sense because they
Right.
know how to, they are reaching so close to the building part. They're reaching the design side of it and they just want to jump this wall and go to the build side of things. And these are the
Right.
people who really want to create no code tools. And how does it actually impact them? I'll tell you how. So, as a product designer or a product manager,
Right.
if you can actually build products, it actually adds a lot of value to your whole portfolio, because a product, you are literally, it's in the name, product manager.
Right.
Please build a product somehow.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's not necessary, but if somebody can build a product, they have seen the ins and outs on what happens in that whole product journey, not just from the point of UX but also from the point of what all development constraints can come, right?
Right.
In fact, I'll tell you, this is actually backed by a study that three or four of my students who were from the product background, and they showed that they have learned no code tools, they
Hmm.
ended up getting very high paying remote work, very
Right.
high paying remote work. And this is happening because as a product developer, if you can develop, that's like a crazy add on for you. And also, you would have seen these posts on LinkedIn that this UX designer has created something, a very nice looking, crazy interaction happening on
Hmm.
your website. And the developers are super angry.
Right.
Well,
There are memes around it, like.
I know, I've seen that. It's
uh,
crazy. But if you know how to use no code right, you will be able to build products that are accessible to people, and
hmm.
also products that works, not
Right.
just from the UX side of things, not just from the visual side of things, but also from a point that people are feeling comfortable to develop it,
Right.
right? Most of the things are developable, I understand, but that does not mean you should develop it. Think
Hmm.
about the IRCTC website, right? Everyone is all about revamping the IRCTC website. This design should look good. There should be a spaceship coming from the train or something like that. Um, the reason IRCTC website is so bad is because it should be accessible to those places as well, those remote places where 3G works or 2G works. So if you open IRCTC from those places, right, it will work. Other
Right.
websites won't work. So that is the reason government is thinking from that point of an angle where UX, if there are multiple elements on your screen, the
Hmm.
page load time will be more.
Right.
That's why, as a designer, if you have a little bit of an idea on how your database can be structured, how many workflows it is taking to have that action done, you will create a design which is actually compatible with the development environment as well. From the development ecosystem, think about your target audience first, then start
Right.
design.
Yeah, that's actually a good context, because sometimes as designers, while deciding on what goes on this a given screen, it's easier for me, okay, I want to see this, but sometimes there are constraints, like for example, certain information on the page might call an API that's like taking a lot of time to load, and then because of that call, your page loading time is more, and then you assume that okay, all this information would come in one go,
Yep.
but actually it's like calls from three different APIs, and then it
Yep.
ends up slowing your experience down, or maybe partially loading it. So yeah,
Absolutely.
having that context of okay, how this information, which is whatever the design is showing, is getting fetched from the database, how it's structured, how am I getting call from it, do I even have the relation between, like, if I'm getting from a profile to a company details, do I even have the relation between the two
Yep.
sheets, like databases?
Yep.
Yeah, so that context, I personally really found it easy to make apps or work on workflows when I dabbled into no code tools. And you like a while back you mentioned, like, okay, there are certain automation tools,
Mhm.
and there are also dedicated agencies who work on automating certain aspects of any business, and they're um, pretty successful in their niche. So, what do you think is like the future of dating apps? Do you think like what, and in such an era where everything is getting abstracted on a next level, like earlier we used to have like, okay, you can drag and drop. Now you have a single prompt where it already builds an UI for it. So, in such a time, what do you think should somebody who's coming new to this industry should focus on, and how can they future proof it to make sure that they are relevant even when things are getting abstracted?
I'll tell you the reality, I'll tell you
Hmm.
the reality. This whole hype that we are seeing in the internet that AI makes stuff easier, no code makes stuff easier.
Hmm.
The reality is 60 to 70% of the people whom I have taught who
Hmm.
don't have that kind of a technical background,
Hmm. Hmm.
no matter what you put in front of them, the tech phobia will always remain.
Right.
This is crazy. I mean, even a small tool like card.co, when I started teaching that, and there were a few people who kind of really freeze whenever they see the tech in front of them, right?
Right.
And tech phobia is absolutely real. And for these people, you need to really make them comfortable, no matter what technology you put in front, AI, no code, AR, VR, anything that comes forward, they need to be comfortable to adopt it, right?
Right.
So what's happening right now is we are talking so much about how AI can improve it, but tell me what percentage of people are actually using AI to just build up their products and put it out there. Even after designing something using AI or developing something using AI, you need those next steps to deploy it, add the domain, add your own structure to it. There is a lot of things that you need to do at this point.
Right.
So we are marketing it as it is becoming easier, but it's
Hmm.
not exactly becoming easier. It's
Hmm.
just that you do need to put your effort into the hard work, the
Right.
ultimate work, because you can easily create the CSS, you can easily create the JS side of things. It's becoming slightly easier now,
Hmm.
but it's just becoming easier. It's not that you don't even have to work, right?
Right.
And coming to the future of things on how making apps will look like, I
Hmm.
still feel that AI and no code will play a huge part in this. It's already there. It's already booming, right?
Right.
A combination of no code and AI, where you create an AI prompt, the stuff is in front of you. Use no code to actually just tweak around with it, and this does not even need require you to dabble with a developer.
Hmm.
You are just creating it right in front of you. It's already happening. It's happening in Type, Dream. Framer is coming up with these things. Bubble is also planning to launch its own AI side of things.
Right.
So it's there. I think AI and no code will play a huge role already in the mobile app space. A person should really be comfortable about not having the tech phobia and becoming a little bit comfortable with things.
Hmm.
Because what I feel is no code and AI is good, but ultimately it is helping you think from a product angle.
Right.
It's not a replacement to anything. It's actually your entry to the world of product. No
Right.
code and AI will help you think from that product angle, think that what decisions need to be made. And ultimately, when you're comfortable with it, you need to learn a little bit of code if possible. Do not eliminate code. These people who go absolutely anti code, that is really bad.
Right.
If you're able to learn something, even in a little bit of a scale, you need to learn it. Down the line, you will have people who will be creating with no code AI. You might be having lots of no code AR platforms, no code gaming platforms are coming up. It's all coming up, but it's about you and how easily you're able to adopt it and get over that tech phobia and be willing to learn a little bit.
Right. Like somewhere I read like, okay, in a times where creating becomes easier and easier, knowing what to create matters the most.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
there is one more thing that keeps coming to my mind if I think about the future, right? I feel the people who are creating these platforms, who are coding out these platforms, they will be specializing on these stuff.
Right.
The people who are curious about a product, they will be specializing in the no code and AI side of things. And these are also the people who will be, dabbling a little bit into marketing.
Right.
Because if you can create stuff, what is the next step? You need to market that stuff, you need to sell that stuff. So there is definitely a great place for people who can code it and create those actually amazing stuff, for these people who can make use of these abstractions and start marketing stuff. So there is a place for literally everyone at this point.
Right.
If as you move forward, some industries will go down, but some will be created. That's
Right.
what point.
Yes, that's why we also see like roles where technical product marketing, where the value proposition is very like, it's the tool is in a specific domain, and somebody who has built it or who knows the space uh, can become like a sort of a technical product marketer, where they also talk about the value, and then they are also involved in the process of making that tool available. And on the tool side itself, like people, the companies who are behind this all these enabling tools, they are also realizing that at after certain point more functionality is good, but people have to still adopt it at a faster pace. So what I
Yeah.
think is like AI, what it do is like, okay, if somebody's wants to create a very simple use case, maybe for their internal tool, they might just use a prompt and then create it. But
Mhm.
somebody who's like very serious about their product, maybe they would start with a prompt and create like a scaffolding app, but later on they have to dabble into the specifics of things to make the product unique. Otherwise there might be similar, like when like industrial era started, right? Similar things happened when manufacturing got accessible because of plastics, new materials, everything got made out of plastics. And then people realized, okay, this is not that great for every application. Maybe we should use this for specific things. And then the market got matured, and
Yeah.
then everything fell into place. So I think AI would also become sort of like a thing that is everywhere, but it won't be like, okay, it's like, okay, you just tell something, it creates. Even though it creates, it might be for a very simple internal use case. So it a maximum it can become like a hyper personalized mini app for myself.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so at the end of the day you need to know, because if some cost of creation and making becomes like very low, everybody would create whatever they want, then the products who will be successful would be the one which are unique and are very aligned with the problems, so like solutions. So yeah,
That's
that
right.
really.
Yeah. And that's the best thing, right? Use
Hmm.
AI as your assistant. Don't rely
Hmm.
on it completely. Please do not do that, because even if you can see, it's still maturing, right? Even in the
Hmm.
design angle, the web design angle, it's still mature.
Hmm. Right.
But no matter how much it matures, you need to have a human brain to assist you. When
Right.
you talk about large scale applications, large scale corporates, trust me, they will not simply trust an AI built
Right.
product.
Obviously,
Or
yes.
even as a freelancer, there were many freelancers in the design and copywriting industry where they thought that AI will replace them. AI will definitely replace you if your pricing is so low.
Hmm. Right.
But AI will not replace the people who are at the top of their game, who are actually selling premium pricing for their services and who have so much of experience. People will always go to them because that fear of missing out will be always be there.
Right.
You can't, when you're making a very serious business, you need a human eye rather than an AI eye.
Correct. Yeah, like unique things are always built out of like knowing broader context, human context.
Absolutely.
Yes. Overall, like you are deep into this area, you teach people. How do you stay updated with the like latest trends, best practices? Do you have any resources or communities that people can subscribe to or visit for staying updated with the latest trends?
So I'm very lucky in this field because if you teach, you just have to stay updated, and
Right.
somehow the people I'm teaching, they keep me updated. Right?
Oh.
There's a two-way street. Whatever I teach, sometimes they keep pushing stuff on one of the Discord channels, like, hey, today I learned about this. Tomorrow I'm going to learn about this. Or if they ask any questions, and if I do not know that answer, I actually need to go back and check what's going on. I need to find that solution on my own. So you
Hmm.
always need to be up to date. In my case, it's not a resource; it's my
Hmm.
participants only. But
Right.
I do have a community. It's the largest community in India for bubble developers. It's
Hmm.
called Indian Bubblers. It's a WhatsApp community, very simple, and it has the top bubblers in India at this point.
Hmm.
Whatever questions you have related to no code or anything where you are stuck, just put the question over there, and there
Hmm.
will be almost 10 people replying to you and helping you out. Super helpful community. I think no code community in at its whole is still growing, and because it's growing, everyone is helping each other
Hmm.
to get back, get to their game, get to the top of the game. Yeah.
Right. I think, yeah, the key is to surround yourself with people who are on a similar journey, and then if they discover something and have a like a sort of a way to share whatever your learnings are. And if you're building in public, especially,
Yeah.
people would like, you can follow people who are building in public, and then whatever adventure they are on, you'll be part of it, and then you'll be updated with everything that's going on.
Very true. And a funny thing about Indian Bubblers group is I started it when I was in my second week of learning bubble.
Okay.
I had no idea. All I needed was some people from India who can just join this group, around 10 to 15 people who can join this group, help each other. That's all I wanted. Right now, it is almost touching 400 people.
Nice.
And it's crazy. I mean, in your journey, if you have people to actually motivate you, you automatically stay updated with the whole trend. That's why I'm always crazy about building in public, building a community. It helps you like crazy. No doubts about it. Building a community will only help you grow. It won't take you down.
Right. It also motivates you along the journey, like where you share, like if you have achieved something, you share it with people and people appreciate, and then whatever the problems you face. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's all the things that we have to cover. Do you have anything that you want to share with the audience, or you want to plug anything you can share, and then we'll conclude.
There are multiple things that I have to share, but I will just focus on one of it.
Hmm.
There is this weird argument whenever we talk about no code, right? The
Hmm.
first thing that most of the people will come forward with um, is no code scalable? Should I use why should I not use code? And the coding army will come and they will be like, no code is not scalable, it's not this,
Hmm.
it's not that, you should learn this. What I feel is it was never about no code versus code.
Hmm.
I think the whole journey, the whole reason no code was developed is not to empower the 1% people who code, but actually empower the people who cannot go about this journey and help them get into the product direction. So it was for a freaking collective good. If those 99% can actually dab into no code, start creating their products, not only are they thinking from the product angle, but slowly and steadily, they are also realizing that there could be some limitations 1 or 2 years down the line, which I can actually access using a little bit of code.
Hmm. Right.
In my opinion, no code is somehow a gateway to code as well.
Right.
So, no code plus code is something that should be adopted. This was the first thing that I told people in my cohort on day one.
Hmm.
Guys, I know you guys are learning no code. Just promise me one thing, never get into the fight of no code versus code on internet.
Right.
Let's do that. Support both of it and openly embrace whenever some information is sent to you. Because there will be something that you can do only with code. That does
Hmm.
not mean that you will stick to no code and not even decide to use it. You want to know what it is. Grab as much knowledge as possible, combine both of them. I kid you not, it's a superpower when you combine them both.
Right. Like at the end of the day, the functionality, what problem you are solving, it has
Yeah,
to get accomplished in an efficient way. And whether, like, if it works at the front end, like when users are and they don't realize whether it's built on no code or code, it's the same.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So Aditya, it was pleasure talking to you. We discovered and we discussed a lot of things, like when it comes to no code, what it entails, how can people get started, like how can business leverage no code when they're building something, individuals starting on their journey. And overall, you also have a cohort. So I'll put that links and share that in with the caption here.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on the pod, and yep, thanks for your time as well.
Thanks a lot, Anurag. It was lovely talking to you about this topic, which I can literally talk about for the whole day. And I'm so glad you're stopping me after an hour because we don't want the podcast to run for almost 10 hours for the people. But yeah, guys, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you guys
Right.
related to no code, related to the business side of things. And if you have some designs to share, let's do that. Let's roast it. Awesome, guys. Thank